Shalom, shalom, Shaul Dog here once again with your weekly Drosh. It's wonderful to be here again with you. This Parashah is number 21. This is Tissa, which is when you take. This is chapter 30, verse 11 through 34, verse 35. And basically, Yah's laying down the law here, okay? And we also see how the defiance of the law is. It's more of a human nature to defy Yah because, well, humans are of the flesh. We have these flesh bodies, and we have our senses and everything. We have been blessed with intelligence and whatnot. And since we have all these blessings and all these things going on with our human bodies, our physical bodies, that gives Satan a playground to play in. And when he plays in this playground, bad things happen for us spiritually in the eyes of Yah. And, we tend to do things that we really shouldn't be doing. And, basically, Yah laid down the law here. There's a lot of stuff that went on here, okay? We have a census. We have silver being given as a ransom for the lives of the people of Israel and everything like that. We're not going to get into that this year. We're going to try to get to that next year, okay? But this year, I want to basically go over this, the rulings that Yah has, okay? And also, we're going to go through the scripture that talks about the rebellion of the Israelites and how we almost never did see anybody beyond Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, okay? Basically, it would have been cut off right then and there if it wasn't for Moshe. Moshe was the one who basically was their savior in a way. In another sense, he was like a predecessor or a fourth telling of the Messiah coming, okay? Where he would save the people of the world, okay? Through his sacrifice and everything else. But basically, let's just get into it here. Yahweh said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, you are to observe my Shabbatot, for this is a sign between me and you through all your generations, so that you will know that I am Yahweh, who sets you apart for me. Therefore you are to keep my Shabbat, because it is set apart for you. Everyone who treats it as ordinary must be put to death. For whoever does any work on it is to be cut off from his people. On 6 days work will get done, but on the seventh day is Shabbat for complete rest, set apart for Yahweh. Whoever does any work on the day of Shabbat must be put to death. There it is again. The people of Israel are to keep the Shabbat, to observe Shabbat throughout all their generations as a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the people of Israel forever. In 6 days Yahweh made the heaven and the earth, but on the seventh day he stopped working and he rested. Okay, well, I hear a lot of people saying that they're set apart and everything like that. I hear a lot of people in Christianity and Judaism, Hebrew roots and everything else, they all claim to be set apart. Well, I know some factions there are not behaving as somebody who's set apart, okay? Because it is a sign between the Shabbatot, all the Sabbaths, not only the weekly Sabbaths, but the ones that are commanded in Leviticus 23, going around the holy feasts, okay? Those are also the Shabbatot that we're supposed to observe as set apart people for the Almighty Yah, okay? If we're not observing these things, then we're not set apart, okay? So, you people in Christianity, guess what? You're not set apart for Yah. You are not in Yah's covenant. You're not obeying the words of his covenant. You're not, you're not anywhere. Basically, you're just floundering. You're just nowhere. Okay, because you haven't gone beyond where you're at now, and you've been taught to reject the commands here. But the fact is, the Israelites were not the only ones who went out into the desert and who were given these rulings. It was also the foreigners that were with them, and it's for all of the people there in that gathering. Okay, and all of their generations, which means if you are a Gentile, if you are not of the house of Israel, guess what? You have to obey it. Your pastors aren't going to tell you this because your pastors are, they're ruled by the authorities above them. And I'm not talking about Yah and the Messiah Emmanuel. I'm talking about the authorities of the church. Okay, they have their hierarchy, and they have one guy on top, and then they have a little body, and then they have a sub body and everything else. And it all spreads out from there. It's a pyramid. That's basically what it is. It's a shape of their structure. And every single religion is shaped that way. You know, the way their structure is, it's shaped in the shape of a pyramid. If you were to observe, just how it's basically put together. And the fact is, that's not how Yah intended it to be. Okay, it's one gathering, one flat ground gathering. No man is higher than the other. Okay, no man is better than the other. Now, there are some that Yah lifts to authority, okay, but that's in his authority. It's not in the person's authority over the people. Okay, the person that Yah lifts into authority is basically the one who speaks Yah's authority to the people. Basically, all of us put Yah first, and we put ourselves on the even plane. But that's not the way we see it in religion. Okay, we don't see that. Even in Messianic Jewish synagogues, okay, we're commanded to rest on the seventh day. Anybody who works on the seventh day, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the rabbi doing his job and working on the seventh day? Isn't that a violation of the Sabbath by getting up there and doing a sermon and shaking hands and kissing babies and all that stuff? Think about it. He's working on the seventh day, and he's supposed to be an example for his congregation. You have all the ministry leaders in that congregation. What are they doing? They're doing labor. They are working on the Sabbath. Where did this go wrong? Well, it went wrong here in the desert, and that prevailing rebellion has carried on. Okay, where the gathering of people are. The original sin was in the Garden of Eden, but humans have carried on this bastardization, basically, of Yah's rules ever since the desert here. And Yah's not going to excuse it. He's not going to just say, oh, it's okay, yeah, just go on. I was only joking. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that at all. He's going to basically carry out what is said here. Okay, whoever does any work on the day of Shabbat must be put to death. Well, today we don't have blood for sin. Okay, the blood was shed for our sin, but there is death. There is a death of the flaming lake. There's a spiritual death that everybody has a chance of facing if we do not obey these mitzvot. All right, it's just the truth. It's the seriousness of the word. And, you think the lake of fire is there just for the murderers and the rapists and everything? No. Your pastor's been lying to you. And if you are Gentile, and if you're going to a Messianic synagogue, they say, well, Gentiles don't have to obey the Torah. Tell them to read the stupid Torah. Jeez. I'm not calling the Torah stupid. You know what I mean. But tell them to read the Torah. Read it. It's mixed multitudes. It's not just the house of Israel. The Messiah came only for the house of Israel because of the covenant that Yah made with Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Okay? That's who he made the covenant with, and all of their descendants. But the Gentiles, the foreigners, have a piece of that covenant if they choose to join in with it. If they don't choose to join in with it, if they don't choose to accept the Torah and to obey the Torah, then guess what? You guys have no share whatsoever in the covenant. No share whatsoever. And it's just really sad to know that. It is, because there's so many good people out there who have a genuine heart, who want to follow Yah, who are not doing what is written for them to do. They're just following what their pastors tell them. And their pastors are lying to them. All of your pastors are liars, okay? They get paid pretty good money to do what they do, okay? This is their job. This is their occupation, all right? That's their occupation. That's what they do for a living. Okay, your pastors, your rabbis, and everything. They get a paycheck to do this. You're not supposed to get a paycheck. Yah is supposed to pay us for doing his work and for being in his covenant and everything. That's why we are supposed to approach the kingdom as children, as little children. Why? Because we depend on the Father to take care of us, to supply all of our needs, okay, to pay all of our bills and everything, to give us whatever abundance that we not what we desire, but what we need, whatever abundance we need. Yah's going to provide that for us if we approach him as little children, not as workers, okay? Yes, we should do the work. That's when the Spirit guides us to do the work. But as far as setting up big institutions and everything like that, with the big sign on the front saying we're doing God's work, well, guess what? That's not doing Yah's work. But let's continue with chapter 32. When the people saw that Moshe was taking a long time to come down from the mountain, they gathered around Aharon and said to him, "Get busy, make us gods to go ahead of us." Now, we'll just stop right there. The Israelites and the foreigners, okay, they were raised for 400 some years in Egypt under idolatry and everything else. Yes, they knew of the one true God. Okay, they knew of Yah. They knew, they worshiped him however they knew best. But in that atmosphere, they're raised with this idolatry and everything else, and they were conditioned to follow these idols. Now, see, this is Yah pulling them out of that and reconditioning them. And if Yah's calling you and choosing you to come out of that, then he's going to make your change very rapid also. He's going to yank you right out of there, and it's going to be shock for you, but that shock is going to be subsided by basically Yah putting his rules in there and opening your eyes so you could see his rules and understand them. But they wanted idols, basically, gods to go before them. Because this Moshe, the man, had brought us from the land of Egypt. We don't know what's become of him. Aharon said to them, "Have your wives, sons, and daughters strip off their gold earrings and bring them to me." The people stripped off their gold earrings and brought them to Aharon. He received what they gave to him. He melted it down and made it into the shape of a calf. Now, this is real important to remember for later, okay? This is real important. Aharon, he's a high priest, okay? Okay, so this is very important. They said, "Yisrael, here is your God who brought you up from the land of Egypt." Here's this little cow, this golden cow, and they're saying this is the God that brought you out of the land of Egypt. On seeing this, Aharon built an altar in front of it and proclaimed, "Tomorrow is to be a feast for Yahweh." Early the next morning, they got up and offered burnt offerings and presented peace offerings. Afterwards, the people sat down to eat and drink, and they got up to indulge in revelry. Revelry is basically drunken, uncontrolled, whatever, orgies, whatever, But what we have right now, okay, we have people worshiping Yah through objects, okay? Easter bunnies, 9-branch menorahs, Christmas trees, Easter eggs, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff like that. Purim baskets and presents and costumes and everything. The alcohol of Purim. Okay, people are worshiping Yah through these other avenues rather than just worshiping him. And that's the same exact rebellion that we see here. Okay, it's not just a golden calf. The golden calf itself, just the image of the golden calf, is not the only thing that's off limits. It's anything that you use to worship Yah with that he did not command. They made an idol. Guess what? Your trees, your bunnies, your eggs, your 9-branch menorahs, your Purim paraphernalia and everything. All of that are your golden calves, okay? These things are idols that you use to worship Yah with. And he doesn't want that stuff. And we're going to see this here. Yahweh said to Moshe, "Go down, hurry. Your people whom you brought up from the land of Egypt have become corrupt." You see that? He's saying corrupt. Your people have become corrupt. Look around. Look around these people and these religions and everything. They're working on the Sabbath. They've got their idols, their religious idols and everything. And they do it in the name of God. Okay? What does Yah see? Your people have become corrupt. They've become corrupt. These are Yah's words. So you see, the actions are the same. The actions between the religious people of today and Christianity and Judaism and every other religion in the world and what we have here in the desert, the same exact thing. And Yah says, your people have become corrupt. So quickly they've turned aside from the way I ordered them to follow. Ding, ding, ding. Are you getting it? They have cast a metal statue of a calf, worshipped it, sacrificed to it, and said, Yisrael, here is your God who brought you up from the land of Egypt. Yahweh continued speaking to Moshe. I have been watching these people, and you can see how stiff-necked they are. Now leave me alone so that my anger can blaze against them, and I can put an end to them. I'll make a great nation out of you instead. He's saying this to Moshe. You know, we have the covenant, we have the promise between Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, how their descendants are going to be blessed with this land of milk and honey. And then what does Yah say? Get out of my way. I'm going to wipe them off the face of the planet. I'm going to make a nation out of you instead. To Moshe, he's mad. Don't you think he's mad now because people are running around worshiping trees or bowing down to it, putting Christmas presents under it and everything like that? You know, Purim, getting drunk and dressing up in slutty and, gay costumes? Come on. 9-branch menorahs on a non-commanded feast that's surrounded around a bunch of mythology that's not even in the book of Maccabees? Come on, people. Come on, Easter with your little bunnies and eggs? That's not even a scriptural feast. But you're doing this in the name of Yah. Don't you think he thinks the same thing about you for doing the same thing the Israelites and the foreigners were doing? Worshipping the golden calf? Don't you think the same thing he's thinking about you right now? Huh? Think about that. I want to wipe you off the face of the planet. I want to make a nation out of you, and pointing to whoever is righteous and obeying his commands. Think about it. Think about that. Moshe pleaded with Yahweh, his God. He said, Yahweh, why must your anger blaze against your own people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and a strong hand? Why let the Egyptians say it was with evil intentions that he led them out to slaughter them in the hills and wipe them from the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce anger. Relent. Don't bring such disaster on your people. Remember, Abraham, Isaac, and Yisrael, your servants, to whom you swore by your very self. You promised them, I will make your descendants as many as the stars in the sky. I will give all this land I have spoken about to your descendants. I will possess, or they will possess it forever. Yahweh then changed his mind about the disaster he had planned for his people. Why? Because Yah is a God of his own word. He does not lie. He does not go back on his word. When he says he's going to do something and he makes a covenant, a vow to do it. He didn't vow to wipe them off the planet. He said, I want to do it. I'll make a nation out of you. He didn't make a vow or a covenant. Okay, but he did with Abraham, Isaac, and Yisrael, or Yaakov. Okay. He did make a covenant with them. And this is why he did not wipe all of these people off the face of the planet and start fresh with Moshe. Okay? That's because of his covenant. The words of his covenant. He's honoring his side of the covenant, even though the people are not honoring their side of it. Moshe turned and went down from the mountain when the two tablets of the testimony were with the two tablets of the testimony in his hand. Tablets inscribed on both sides, on the front and back. The tablets were the work of Yahweh, and the writing was the writing of Yahweh engraved on the tablets. And it wasn't this Paleo Hebrew stuff. Okay, this was Hebrew, the way we know it today. When Yehoshua, and that's not the name of the Messiah, heard the noise of the people shouting, he said to Moshe, "It sounds like war in the camp." He answered, "That is neither the clamor of victory nor the wailings of defeat. What I hear is the sound of people singing." But the moment Moshe got near the camp, when he saw the calf and the dancing, his own anger blazed up. He threw down the tablets he had been holding and shattered them at the base of the mountain. Seizing the calf they had made, he melted it in the fire, ground it into powder, which he scattered on the water. Then he made the people of Israel drink it. Well, guess what? you have that heavy concentration of gold mixed into the water, and you're drinking it, you're going to have diarrhea, big time. you're going to be on the crapper for a long, long time. Okay, but they had to eat that idol. Okay, the idol was sacrificed. The idol was sacrificed. Moshe sacrificed that idol, destroyed the idol, and he made people consume that sacrifice. And they see the poison, because you get that much gold in your system, it's like a poison. It's, it just runs right through you and just cleans out your colon. Okay, this is not edifying. It's not good. It's not wholesome. It's not anything of Yah. Not anything good. He gave them this physical example of how disgusting it really is. But Moshe said to Aharon, what did these people do to make you lead them into such terrible sin? Aharon replied, my Lord shouldn't be so angry. You know what these people are like. They're determined to do evil. They said to me, make us gods to go ahead of us, because this Moshe, the man brought us up out from the land of Egypt. We don't know what's become of him. I answered them, anyone with gold, strip it off. So they gave it to me. I threw it in the fire, and out came this calf. Okay, but earlier, it says that Aharon made the calf. He melted the metal and everything, and he fashioned the calf. Now he said, I just threw it in the fire. Out came this calf. Sort of like trying to say, well, it's a will of Yah. It just, it's magical. It just came out. Okay, Aharon's lying. He's lying through his teeth right now. And it's not because Moshe's angry, but Moshe's working on the authority of Yah. Moshe's working on the authority of Yah. And we see Satan working through Aharon. Okay? And this is why in the Parashah it says bad company ruins good character. This is why. Aharon's good character was ruined by the bad company of these idolaters. When Moshe saw that the people had gotten out of control because Aharon had allowed them to get out of control, to the derision of their enemies, Moshe stood at the entrance of the camp and shouted, whoever's for Yahweh, come to me. All the descendants of Levi rallied around him. See, this is why Levi, the descendants of Levi, they're the ones who seek him. Okay? And this is why Yah said that their inheritance, when we get later on into this, their inheritance is Yah. Okay? They don't get a worldly inheritance. No, they get Yah as their inheritance. Why? Because everyone who is for Yah, he said, come by me. And all the Levites did. He told them, here's what the God of Israel says. Each one of you put his sword on his side and go up and down the camp from gate to gate. Every man is to kill his own kinsman, his own friend, and his own neighbor. The sons of Levi did what Moshe said, and that day 3,000 of the people died. Moshe said, you have consecrated yourselves today to Yahweh, because every one of you has been against his own son and against his own kinsman in order to bring a blessing upon yourselves today. Now that brings me to the words of the Messiah. If he says, when he says, anybody who loves his father, mother, brother, or sister more than he loves me, is not worthy of me. Well, basically, this is it. If you loved your neighbor, your brother, or whatever more than Yah, and you didn't kill them, you didn't slaughter them here, okay, when we still had the blood for the sin, okay, if you didn't do that, then you weren't proving yourself to Yah, okay? Next day, Moshe said to the people, you've committed a terrible sin. Now I will go up to Yahweh. Maybe I will be able to atone for your sin. Moshe went back to Yahweh and said, please, these people have committed a terrible sin. They've made themselves a god out of gold. Now, if you'll just forgive their sin, but if you won't, then I beg you, blot me out of the book which you have written. Now, see, who has the book? Isn't it the Lamb's book of life? So he's speaking to the Messiah right now. He's speaking to the Messiah, Emmanuel, right now, okay, who holds the Lamb's book of life. The Father isn't the Lamb. How cool is that, huh? But then these are the words of the Messiah. We know this. Why? Because it's his book. Yahweh answered to Moshe. Those who have sinned against me are the ones I will blot out of my book. Now go and lead the people to the place I told you about. My angel will go ahead of you. Nevertheless, time for punishment will come, and I will punish them for their sin. Yahweh struck the people with a plague because they had made the calf, the one Aharon made. Yahweh said to Moshe, I will also do what you have asked me to do, because you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. Okay, let's stop there. A lot of people say it's not a religion, it's a relationship whenever it comes to Christianity or to Judaism or whatever, okay? Anything having to do with Yah himself and the Messiah. I hear people say, it's not a religion, it's a relationship. Well, can he say to you, I know your name? Huh? Moshe has a relationship with him. Moshe's speaking to him face to face, you see? Huh? Now, you might be entertaining demons, okay, if you're in a place of worship that doesn't invite the Messiah, okay? You might be inviting demons. You might think you're speaking face to face with them, but you're not. Get it? All right. I will cause all my goodness to pass before you, and in your presence I will pronounce the name of Yahweh. Moreover, I will show favor to whomever I will. I display mercy to whomever I will. But my face, he continued, you cannot see, because a human being cannot look at me and remain alive. Here, he said, is a place near me. Stand on the rock. When my glory passes by, I will put you inside a crevice in the rock and cover you with my hand until I pass by. Then I will remove my hand and you will see my back, but my face is not to be seen. His face is not to be seen. This is why we're always seeking his face. We're always seeking his face. We're not going to see him face to face until our judgment, okay? But his eminence is so great, especially face to face, okay, that no man, why? Because we're full of filth. We're full of filthy sin, okay? The sin is just like disgusting, oily and greasy rags just hanging off of our flesh. That's what our sin is. And sin cannot be in the presence of the Almighty, okay? When sin is in the presence of the Almighty, it's destroyed. That's why no man, no human can stand in the presence of the Messiah or the Almighty Yah, okay? Because of the sin. Gone. Yahweh descended into the clouds, stood with him there, and pronounced the name of Yahweh. Yahweh passed before him and proclaimed, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Yahweh is Yahweh, merciful and compassionate, slow to anger, rich in grace and truth, showing grace to the 1,000th generation, forgiving offenses, crimes, and sins, yet not exonerating the guilty. Okay, the guilty are not going to are going to get off scot-free. Even if they look guilty now and they look like they're getting off scot-free, he's not exonerating the guilty. He's just letting them pile up judgment for themselves. Okay? But causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced by their children and grandchildren, even by the 3rd and 4th generations. Okay, so if you're breaking Torah right now, you're putting a curse on your children and your grandchildren, and maybe even their children. Okay, if you're disobeying the Torah and if you're disregarding Yah. And we wonder what's happening with the nation today, this Christian nation. Okay, we wonder why this whole nation's crumbling right before our eyes. Well, you know it right here. It's a curse, the generational curse. The church has gotten rid of the Torah. The synagogues out there have gotten rid of the Torah. They have taken the Talmud in place of the Torah. And guess what? All these generational curses are coming down on your heads for doing so. They're coming down on your children's heads. You know? Your grandchildren's heads. Think about it. It's not about who we put in office. It's not about who we elect into our Congress or whatever. It's about who we worship and how we worship him. That's what it is. You want to revive this country? Revive your faith in him and do what's written in the first 5 books of your Bible. Then you'll revive this country. If If you don't care about this country, then Yah's not going to care about you. Okay? Because if you care about this country, you're going to seek him first. You're going to obey him and his rules. That's how you prove you love this country. That's what a real patriot is. At once Moshe bowed his head down to the ground, prostrated himself, and said, if I have now found favor in your view, Yahweh, then please, Yahweh, go with us. Even though they are stiff-necked people, pardon our offenses and our sin. Take us as your possession. He said, here I am making a covenant in front of all of your people. I will do wonders such as not have been created anywhere on earth or in any nation. All the people around you will see the work of Yahweh. What I am going to do through you will be awesome. Observe what I am ordering you to do today. Here I am driving out ahead of you the Emori, Kenani, Hitti, Perizi, Hivi, and Yevusi. Be careful not to make a covenant with the people living in the land where you're going to go, that they will not become a snare within your own borders. Why is this? It's because these same people were doing stuff like Christmas and Hanukkah and Purim and Easter, St. Patrick's Day, May Day, Valentine's Day, and all kinds of worthless things like that. That's why. Don't allow them to be a snare within your borders. Don't do what they do. Rather, you are to demolish their altars, smash their standing stones, and cut down their sacred poles, because you are not to bow down to any other god. Yeah, when you put that gift under the tree, you don't drop it and kick it, do you? You get down on your hands and knees and you place it under there, don't you? You're not to bow down to any other god, and Yah says in Jeremiah 10 that that's a god. Since Yahweh, whose very name is jealous, is a jealous God, do not make a covenant with the people living in the land. It will cause you to go astray after their gods and sacrifice to their gods. Then they will invite you to join them in eating their sacrifices, and you will take their daughters as wives for your sons. Their daughters will prostitute themselves to their own gods and make your sons do the same. Do not cast metal gods for yourselves. Well, metal god, what is that? 9-branch menorah, not commanded. And no, the Messiah did not celebrate Hanukkah. He walked across Solomon's porch during that time of year. If you drive past a church in the Christmas season, does that mean you celebrate Christmas? Of course not. Read the scriptures. Do not cast metal gods for yourselves. Every menorah I've seen, at least, 9-branch menorah, for the most part, they're made of metal. Keep the festival of matzah by eating matzah, as I ordered you, for 7 days during the month of Aviv. For it was in the month of Aviv that you came out of Egypt. Everything that is first from the womb is mine. Of all your livestock, you are to set aside for me all the males, the firstborn of the cattle of the flock, the firstborn of a donkey you must redeem with a lamb. If you won't redeem it, break its neck. All the firstborn of your sons you are to redeem, and no one is to appear before me empty-handed. Now, appearing before him empty-handed. Now, the Messiah said in Revelation, I come with the gifts and I give them out according to what you have done, and you're going to be judged based on what you have done. Okay, so if we have these works of obedience and everything else and tzedakah and doing all these great things as commanded in Scripture, okay, we're not coming there empty-handed. We're saying, Father, look at all these things that I've done. I hope it suffices. I hope it's good enough for you. 6 days you will work, but on the seventh day you are to rest. Even in plowing time and harvest season, you are to rest. Observe the festival of Shavuot, with the first gathered produce of the wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times a year, all of your men are to appear before Yahweh, the God of Israel. For I am going to expel nations ahead of you and expand your territory. And no one will even covet your land when you go up to appear before Yahweh, your God, 3 times a year. You are to offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, or you are not to offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread. And the sacrifice of the feast of Pesach is not to be left until morning. You are to bring the best first fruits of your land to the house of Yahweh, your God. And you are not to boil a goat in its mother's milk. Does this say you're supposed to have 2 kitchens? Does this say you're not to have a cheeseburger, which is made of beef and cheese? It's not goat and goat's milk, okay? Boiled. You are not to boil a young goat in its mother's milk. Plain and simple. If you have a goat and you have its mother's milk, don't put the 2 together. But you could have a cheeseburger, you could have cheese and beef lasagna, you could have anything as long as it's biblically kosher. It's ridiculous having 2 different kitchens, 2 different sets of utensils, 2 different everything. It's ridiculous, because that's not what the command says. That's what the rabbis say. Well, sorry, but the rabbis are leading you down the wrong direction. You are not to boil a young goat in its mother's milk. It's written right here in the Torah. It's right there. It's not hard. If you want to avoid it, don't buy any goats and don't buy their mothers along with it. Then you're good. Yahweh said to Moshe, write these words down because they are the terms of the covenant I have made with you and with Israel. These are the terms of the covenant, which means if we break the terms, then we have voided our end of the covenant. And we see that later on in Scripture. That's why we have a new covenant, but the same terms apply. You see? It's a new covenant with the same terms of the covenant, which means all of Yah's mitzvot. Our people have basically divorced Yah. In a way, they violated the terms of the covenant, which means broke his mitzvah. And since they broke his mitzvah, he basically said, "Well, then be gone." He just submitted a gate to them and said, "Be gone." And he stewed. He had his anger and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, he brings back the Messiah. And no blood sacrifice on the face of the planet, no blood sacrifice could cover the depth of the sin that Yah's people had, except for the blood of the Messiah, Emmanuel. Because his DNA is not of this earth. His DNA comes from the Father. You see? That's perfect DNA being shed. That is a perfect sacrifice, and his blood covers all. But they are the terms of the covenant I have made with you and with Israel. Okay, if you want to join in the new covenant, the Parashah, well, then that's fine. You still have to be bound to these terms, which is the Torah commands. Moshe was there with Yahweh for 40 days and 40 nights, during which time he neither ate or drank water. Yahweh wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. So if you want to reject the 10 commandments, then that's fine. Fine, go ahead and do it if you want. You're just going to have to suffer greatly for what you've done. And it's just very disheartening to see that happen. It is. It's very disheartening to see that happen. To see pastors up there at the pulpit, to see rabbis up there in the Messianic synagogues and everything, and even rabbinic synagogues saying, no, the Gentiles don't have to obey. It's only for the Jews, and the Jews don't even obey it. Nobody's obeying it in religion. Nobody. It's up to you and me to be the example and to obey at all costs. At all costs. Hold up the terms of the covenant. When we hold up our end, okay, when we accept the terms and we obey the terms and we hold them and we guard them and everything else, when we guard those terms of the covenant, because the covenant is sacred between us and the Father, we're setting an example for those people who are in religion, who are lost in religion, and who need to come out of religion, who are getting that call and their hearts are empty and everything. And they want to come out. They just want to know where to come out. We're setting that example for those people. And those who Yah gives vision to through the Ruach, He will guide them to those people, the springs of living water. Okay? Remember, seek first the kingdom of heaven and all of his righteousness, and all these things will be given unto you. Okay, let's get straight. Let's get straight in the scriptures and let's do it. Just do it, baby. Take care, folks. I look forward to the next time.